Put on the screen.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for this very super short, we promise, mini workshop on doing voiceover narration. No, you do not need to be an actor, although there are going to be many actors probably at your create-a-thon that you should partner with because they know how to do these things anyway. But if you want to try voiceover narration and you've never done it before, here are some quick and handy tips that are going to make it much easier and quicker for you to edit and record. And that is going to be delivered by our lovely head of community, Tim.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Emily. So I want to quickly jump through and let's talk about voiceover narrations. And so quickly, our goal is as Story City is to help you really kind of diversify your craft, take what you're already doing and give you new ways to build out the content that you're generating and a new way to basically develop an income as a creator by utilizing it. And so one of those ways is through voice acting and voice over narration. So as we jump into what that looks like, I wanted to kind of go over the ins and outs of giving and doing voiceovers. So first and foremost, over here, we are going to talk about yeah, so providing, we're going to jump into the next one here. Providing the narrator with the vibe. Okay, so as a narrator, you are going to be taking the written script and truly giving it tone, taking it and giving it dimension. So you can talk very normally and boring like this, and that will give you a very different experience than if you were to jump in and have a bit of a flowy voice or announce on the radio that today at 2 o'clock this is happening. And so as you play with your voice, you can create the vibe, and that's truly your job as voiceover doing when you're doing voiceover narration. I would encourage you to have a pronunciation guide for unusual or local words, especially if you are referencing indigenous locations and names. Please make sure that you're pronouncing them properly, no matter what that tone of voice might be. And to practice what you were saying multiple times so that you can feel natural in saying it, not being off the cuff, as most of us need to be able to give the right vibe and feel. It does take practice, especially when we are narrating a script that we had help contributing to, but are not the author behind it. So you want to work with the author, with the musician, really understand the tones that you are crafting and creating, and then practice so that feels natural.
It doesn't sound like you're reading off a page.
Right. So it doesn't sound like you are just saying hello, like a substitute teacher. No one wants to be the substitute teacher. You want to be the expert. That being said, to be the expert, make sure that in the space that you're recording, you're covering all of the hard surfaces, particularly if it's metal or glass or wood, with something soft to absorb the sound. Sound bounces around off of physical objects. So making sure that you're absorbing as much of that ambient noise as possible. And to stand at least a few hands back from the mic when you are recording so that you don't get that lovely popping noise, that we don't want that on any kind of recording. I have one here and I was trying to catch it for you. But you really don't want that because as people are walking around, anything that pops or breaks that narration is going to also break people's experience as they are walking through your story. And so to avoid being that barrier, make sure that you are not touching your lips to that microphone. I'd also encourage you to speak slower and allow brief pauses between your sentences so that people can follow along with what you're saying, no matter what environment they are in, and no matter what their auditory abilities might be, they can pace with you as you speak, rather than talking incredibly quickly, which is something that Tim Souza tends to do. If you pace yourself out, it makes things easier to understand. So definitely speak slower, give brief pauses, and it's okay to allow for 2 to 3 seconds of silence as you're communicating your point. As you do your editing in your amazing tools, make sure that you clap loudly in front of the mic to begin and end your sentences. This does 2 things. One, it allows for a really clear cutting ability on when you are editing. And if you make a mistake, just clap again. and then that you'll know that's where to cut it. It also helps you keep pace, and so your sentences don't flow together if you are trying to quickly re-record. Um, the last another thing I would encourage is you get as a narrator do 2 or 3 samples, and so that you can get feedback on those the audio recordings before you record the long chunks. So definitely go and do like a 15 to 20-second little recording of what that might look like, and then present that to your team over the weekend. Get their feedback before you record a 3-minute audio, and do that. Do that a couple times so you can capture that mood, that tone, and to see if it works with the music that your team is generating as well. And lastly, I would just encourage you to remember that a narrator must have enough time to record, to edit, and produce that final audio. So you will be doing your narrations after the scripts have been written, and often alongside music that is being written. And so that's going to be on the Sunday. It'll be in the last part of the day. So you're going to need to make sure that you are booking your audio uh, recordings time if you're using our tools to do so. And you got to give yourself enough time to both record that and then go back and edit it before our 4 o'clock cutoff time. So please begin with the end in mind, and remember that your goal is to have all of that done before you submit your story. Emily, does
So
that
do
leave
I
any
have to
questions?
have so do I have to have all of the like every piece of our text and script voice record?
You do not have to have every piece of the script voice recorded. Some of our best, uh, I would say, teams end products after the last couple of create-a-thons has been uh, just the dialogue that has been recorded, or just the portions that when we talk about transmedia, and I highly recommend you listen to the interactivity mini workshop that Emily gave to talk about transmedia. But when we talk about what that means, it is leveraging different formats. So leveraging the voiceover, leveraging the music, leveraging the text, leveraging the visual to communicate the story. So I would encourage you to figure out which portions of your story would have the greatest impact having voiceover, and then focus on delivering those first and foremost. And if for whatever reason your team is incredibly efficient, and you want to do a audio voiceover for hearing impaired, or to so people can put their phones down, make sure you book and schedule your time appropriately to be able to get that done. But what I will also say is that some teams will say, hey, we wanted to do the full audio, like our winning team this last time. They wanted to do the full audio, but they didn't have the time because they were putting in all of these other elements. And so they just recorded the dialogue, and then they went back after the create-a-thon before it was released to the public to finish off that audio narration. So you can, the choice is yours, but really I would look at you and say, measure your time first and then decide what you
So
want to do.
maybe have different plans as to like if we have time we do this, if we have less time we do this, if we have less time we do this.
Yeah, like I would start with what would be your minimum viable product, right? If I was to use startup language and say, what is your minimum viable product that you want to be putting out, and then enhance it from there.
But we have to have audio, we have to have text, we have to have audio, we have to have visuals.
You don't have to have anything. However, I would encourage you that the best projects have a combination of all of them, because they are engaging people in location in a myriad of different ways, and the stronger experiences come out of people who do leverage multiple forms of media.
Um, if I've never done voiceover before, and our storyteller has made multiple characters, and maybe I'm not the best at acting out different characters, do you have any tips?
Well, actually, our winning team from from Calgary did this amazing voice modulation using some free tools online. They or these 3 young ladies who did a D&D-esque experience visiting different, like leveraging the Lunar New Year experiences that have been happening in the city. And they became dragons and trolls under bridges and thieves in the night. You would have never known that these women were um, you know, young women who are doing all of these different voices. And so there are definitely free tools online. The Audacity app, I believe, is yeah, Audacity is a good tool, and I think that that might be one that they utilize. But with iPhones these days and all of the tools at our disposal, you have a myriad of different options to do fun voice modulating things. And super simple to take your voice and pull it through one of those these days.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers and good luck, everyone.